just a few minutes late. We got started late this morning, and we're trying to catch up on the time during this presentation. We'll see how we go. I'd like to again thank Cirrus for their generous contribution in the way of the coffee break, the networking break. In this session 1 of today's first day, we engage with representatives from international organizations most closely involved with identification management, and we review where they stand on their various initiatives and projects. And I'm happy to welcome back on stage Sylvain Lefoyer, who will be the moderator of the session. Just a reminder, we do invite your questions by email. Again, trip 2018 at ICAO.int. You can send them by email, and Sylvain has an iPad. He'll be monitoring that, so we'll try to answer as many questions as possible through the email and, of course, in the hall. So, Sylvain, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Denis. This one I will skip to English by respect for my fellow panelists. This session on setting the scene will be opened by Miss Nina Brooks. I guess a lot of you already know Nina because we invite her every year in Trip Symposium and AFSEC Symposium. So Nina is head security at ACI World. In this role, she represents ACI World and its members' interests with regard to aviation security with ICAO, national regulators, and industry partners. She provides expertise with regard to all security issues, such as landside security, security culture, risk management, and screening. Projects include ACI capacity building activities in security and oversight of the management of the smart security project for ACI. Nina started her aviation career not long ago at Virgin Atlantic Airways in the United Kingdom, working in the government affairs team on border security regulation and passenger data. She then spent 8 years at IATA, where she was responsible for many aviation security and facilitation. Prior to joining ACI, Nina was Director, Borders and Security at Intervistas Consulting, focusing on US and Canadian airports. Nina, you have the floor.
Thank you. Can I use the podium, I guess? Yeah. Okay, great, thank you.
If you need some water, we'll put some right there. Okay.
Thank you. So good morning, everybody. I'd just like to share with you some of the things that ACI is doing. I'm actually responsible now for security, facilitation, and IT. And we've brought those three streams together, really recognizing there's so much crossover between what's happening in security, what's happening in borders, and all of that being underpinned by the technology. Where's the, thank you, that would help. So first of all, I thought it would be good to look at what we actually mean by seamless travel, because I think it means a lot of different things to different people. From the dictionary, it means moving from one thing to another with no interruptions or problems. So that encompasses the idea of hassle-free travel. With no problems, we're looking for predictability and we're looking for efficiency. To some people, it might mean walking pace or non-stop. We should certainly look to minimize stops, especially where those stops duplicate checks and processes that have gone before. I think this morning Pierre alluded to a 10-minute wait time or less. Maybe we're looking for no stops at all or no wait time, and that's really quite ambitious. Maybe it means a one-stop shop. The passenger doesn't really need to know if he's dealing with an airline, the airport, customs, immigration, or security. Travel should be one smooth process, and we can deal with the hassle in the background with our systems and by working together. Does it mean tailor-made? We need to be able to offer different options. Not everyone wants to deal with the machine, and not everyone knows where they're trying to go when they arrive at an airport. Just looking at myself as an example, when I travel with my family, I'm a completely different kind of traveler to when I'm on a business trip. So the experience needs to be flexible, with different options to suit different circumstances. So I'll talk about some of the initiatives that ACI and our members are working on towards this aim for seamless travel. Firstly, in IT, airport IT is an enabler of many of the principles that I've talked about. In ACI's airport IT stream of work, we're focusing on digital transformation, transforming the business of airports, adapting to customers, staff, the community, and different cultures by leveraging new technologies to meet business objectives. Digital transformation for the airport is about evolving processes and services to deliver a better experience for all customers. In order to become smarter, whether smart cities, smart businesses, or smart airports, the power of data is absolutely critical. Digital transformation embraces achieving a seamless flow through the airport by integrating systems and services, including those provided by all partners, such as airlines, security, customs, concessions, ground handlers, and air navigation service providers. Today's technologies can enable airports to do something that was unimaginable just a few years ago, to deliver personalized and individual service to millions of passengers. So how are we going to do all of that? To look at some of our projects, as I said, firstly, there's no escaping the power of data. We're delivering data exchange standards through our Airport Community Recommended Information Services, which is a bit of a mouthful, ACRIS for short, defining a common language to enable data exchange between partners. We've already developed a model for the information that passengers need that will enable a single interface to provide a single source of consistent information, and we actually call that seamless travel. We've also developed models for airport operations management, baggage messaging, and are looking at identity and geolocation data. We continue to research into new technologies, including artificial intelligence for better decision-making and predictive operations, as well as looking at blockchain, which could be a significant enabler to the secure sharing of data. We're also paying close attention to privacy and security. Our work in cybersecurity includes both promoting best practices with airports and working with ICAO on aerodrome cybersecurity and the Trusted Framework project. This is going to be an absolutely critical pillar supporting digital transformation. Turning to security, many of you will have heard about the ACI IATA Joint Smart Security Project. One of the key pillars of that project, and again tying into a seamless travel experience, is being able to apply different measures to passengers according to a risk assessment. In order to do that, identity is key. Unless you know who a passenger is, you can't provide a personalized experience, nor can you apply specific measures. You might notice the picture here is not a security checkpoint, it's an e-gate, and that's deliberate. What we're trying to get to is linking identity with the security checkpoint. Right now, we rely on marks on boarding passes to identify selectees and manual document checks to segregate known travelers. Leveraging digital identity, we expect to be able to not only more securely identify a passenger, but dynamically change the way they're screened to adjust the screening applied. We can also associate a passenger with his belongings, both cabin and hold baggage, providing a much more complete picture to security authorities. So seamless travel from a security point of view means seamless for the traveller without the hassle of presenting the documents multiple times, but also enhancing security with opportunities to share data with other authorities such as customs and immigration. Of course, one area that I haven't even talked about is facilitation. In airport terms, this means not only the movement of people and goods across borders, but improving efficiency and passenger experience. Several of our projects contribute to a seamless travel experience. Underpinning this seamless nature from the passenger journey, from the point of booking right through to arrival and on the return journey, is the need to have a verified, secure digital identity. We envisage the use of biometrics for verification throughout the journey, including technologies to identify people on the move, removing touch points, and the need to present documents. We strongly support the work of the TRIP program in the area of e-passports, and we're really excited at the prospect of a possible digital travel credential that can enable this vision to happen. I'm sure we'll hear a lot this week about collaboration, but I'll say it again. Industry is fully on board with working with states to make this work. We're already seeing huge progress in our airports in implementing biometrics for departure, immigration, bag drop, security, for boarding, and we're eagerly participating as supporting the many trials and initiatives being run by the World Economic Forum, WTTC, IATA's One ID project, and many others to expand this to an inclusive end-to-end process. Our Facilitation Committee is also actively exploring technologies and best practices through many of our world business partners, some of whom are here. Finally, bringing all of this together into a single vision, I wanted to touch on another joint IATA-ACI initiative called New Experience Travel Technologies, or NEXT. NEXT creates a vision for the future of air travel, levering technologies for greater efficiency and better passenger experience. It was created to address growing capacity issues, which we've already heard about today, the need to better use the infrastructure we have as passenger numbers continue to grow. We also recognize that there's a huge amount of work going on in these different project streams, in security, in facilitation, with identity, and we needed to break down the traditional silos of passenger, baggage, cargo, and operations, and use those concepts across the whole travel experience. Our concepts fall primarily into three focus areas: off-airport activities. What can we do to move things off the airport to facilitate earlier processing and offer more customization? This might include remote collection of bags, remote screening, remote collection of cargo, and virtual processes to replace physical ones. Advanced processing, how advanced processing at the airport can facilitate simpler, quicker, more coordinated, and indeed customized passenger, cargo, and baggage clearance. This includes automated processes, autonomous vehicles, robotics, and of course biometrics. And finally, interactive decision-making. How can we have real, trusted, real-time data facilitate all of these concepts, looking at total airport management, collaborative decision-making, predictive analysis, risk assessment, and artificial intelligence? We're in really exciting times, and it's important to note that we're not considering these themes in every concept to be applied as a one-size-fits-all for airports. Of course, decisions will need to be made by airports and regulators based on their local circumstances, the regulatory environment, the risk environment, passenger demographic, and complexity. We're engaging with stakeholders across the world to gather inputs to this vision, and we're holding a series of webinars and events to get people engaged. We would very much welcome the participation of everyone here. So I've just put the website here. I was thinking about showing you the video, but if you take a look at the website, everything is there, the vision as it stands now, but we're really looking for inputs to how we can move this forward. And there's a lot of detail on the website about the next vision. So with that, I'll hand back to Sylvain, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nina. We will take all the questions after the end of the three presentations, so you will have more time to think about it and to write your questions, even to send them by email or to address it orally when we are done with the presentation. Now we will turn to IATA. Celine Canu is head of facilitation in the International Air Transport Association in Montreal. In this role, she is responsible for leading and coordinating IATA strategy and activities on aviation facilitation, including border control, passenger data, and identity management. She leads the IATA Facilitation Working Group, a key forum where airlines, airports, and government representatives work together in shaping joint positions. Celine has over 15 years' experience in aviation security and facilitation. In her role, she promoted the development and the delivery of IATA policies, positions, and strategies, including those for risk-based security measures and security information sharing. She is now supporting the development of life cycle transformation concepts related to passenger identity management, including One ID, the development of biometric-based solutions, and border control management. Please, Celine, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sylvain, for this kind introduction. Good morning to everybody. Wonderful. So it's always challenging to speak after Nina, as she rightly presented all the projects in which IATA and SCI are deeply involved and collaborate with each other. And it's important to stress it and demonstrate the need for further collaboration. So I'm glad to be here with you for the next 3 days and to contribute to the discussions on the status of the implementation of the various traveler identification programs and on the most recent industry developments and initiatives. For those of you who are not so familiar with IATA, we have a plethora of experts in different areas. Our organization has this very unique role to represent, lead, and serve the airline industry. How do we do that? We work with our members and industry partners to raise operational standards, to enhance safety, but also to make interlining of airline possible. As an industry organization, our objective is to encourage our members to offer passengers a memorable travel experience while ensuring the safety and the security of their flight. As highlighted earlier by my colleague Pierre, passenger satisfaction is crucial and should be part of each of our organization's targets. Air transport facilitates travel and tourism, which are catalysts for local economies. This makes partnership an essential foundation in developing effective and efficient collaborative initiatives. So what about your own experience as a traveler, as a passenger? How do your stories look like? Unfortunately, amazing anecdotes are rather rare. Now, what does it take to change these scenarios? Our customer, we all, are looking for more predictability and coherence in the passenger process, which also very often implies better coordination between all the parties involved in the system. So how can we turn stressful experience into pleasant one? How does that affect airline, airport, and states processes? How can all stakeholders benefit from a coordinated approach and operate more efficiently? Today, the ICAO Trip Symposium offers a great opportunity to explore how we can all work together towards enhancing identity management and facilitation measures to ultimately improve the overall passenger traveling journey. So where are the quick wins? If we look at the process right at the beginning, whereas many efforts have been made to simplify the reservation process, it's still very difficult to retrieve the information associated to this transaction. What reference should I refer to as a passenger when I want to retrieve it? To the booking number, to the ticket number, to the PNR, the passenger name record. The industry has realized that in the era of one-click shopping, such an archaic process is unsustainable. So basing its program on recent developments in the retail industry, IATA has partnered with its members to develop a project called One Order. So One Order, what it is? It's one reference, which will result ultimately in the gradual disappearance of the multiple reservation records. It's also one process to service customers throughout their entire product purchase and delivery experience. But finally, One Order, it's also one industry to provide more interlining opportunities, including between traditional network carriers and point-to-point carriers. So this modernization of the reservation system will also allow the industry to rely on more sophisticated and recent messaging standards, making it easier for governments to access the information. And there we are referring to the PNR. And process the information as they use it for border control and border security purposes. There are two main types of data that governments are looking for, and we'll discuss them at length during those 3 days. But first, the PNR, and I think it's important also to give an overview of what they are and what they are not. But the passenger name record is the information that an airline creates at the time when the passenger book its flight. So it's operational data. It's basically an order. It provides an overview of the service that the airline will fulfill. It's the how, the what, and the when. The other type of data, the API, the Advanced Passenger Information, provides the passenger identity to simplify. It's the information which is usually extracted from the travel document. It is the who. So talking about the who, and I'll elaborate on the OneID project that Nina mentioned earlier. But the API is normally only available at time of checking. So there are multiple differences between the PNR and the API. But we could definitively consider getting this information much earlier in the process. When I book a flight for myself or for my family members, it's the information that is already at hand. I know my identity. I've just renewed my passport, for instance, and now it has a validity of 10 years. Could I have the option to agree once for all to provide this information to all the airlines I will fly with, or to the countries I will fly to or depart from? It's a legitimate question, and passengers are seeking for a simplification of the process. Also, traditionally, and it's important to remember it, airlines collected this information on behalf of the governments of the destination country, as they were the first point of contact with the passenger before they reach their territory. Nowadays, governments have many other tools to communicate directly with passengers. And this forum is certainly a great place to challenge those traditional processes, to acknowledge that innovation is opening doors to new ways of thinking, to do business as well. So capitalizing on those opportunities, IATA has launched its OneID project early 2017 and has opened a forum for discussions, not only to conceptualize the introduction of digital identity, but more importantly to develop the industry standards that will make it possible. Reflecting on those developments, what does it take to avoid the duplication of efforts? To generate the passenger information as early as possible in the process, and to allow each of the stakeholders to use it on a need-to-know, need-to-access basis. As much as we can modernize PNR data, we also need a strong commitment from governments to provide a secure digital identity and to develop the capacity to use API data in an interactive manner. Passenger ID should be adequately verified for immigration and border processes. Capabilities need to be in place. Some of the governments are pioneers, and they have developed this ability to identify if incoming passengers are appropriately documented, whether they are nationals or aliens needing a visa or electronic travel authorization. And they share this assessment with carriers. These governments have also are also able to verify if the person has been placed on a watch or wanted list. And the purpose for it is also to provide the information and propose appropriate responses. And we praise those initiatives. Border control is a state's responsibility. Therefore, it's also not acceptable for governments to impose charges on carriers to recover the transaction cost. Airlines already bear the heavy cost of passenger data collection and transmission. So minimum recoupment is also to indicate that the data is effectively used and processed. Signaling whether a passenger may pose a security threat or is likely to be denied entry by the country of arrival is crucial information to air carriers. On this note, This symposium opens the floor for fruitful debates and discussions, and I would like to invite you all to share your views on how we can improve travel document specification and how they can be best utilized for the benefits of our passengers. Aviation connects people, so let's make traveling exciting again. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any question, we'll take them a bit later. And I have also my great team over there who will be happy to support me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Celine. Now we turn to Mr. Claudio Kavrecic, Head of Center of Excellence for Combating Document Fraud in FRONTEX. Claudio Kavrecic, as of 1st February 2018, Head of FRONTEX Center of Excellence for Combating Document Fraud. From 2008 July until 2018 January, Claudio was the Head of Air Border Sector in the Operations Division of FRONTEX. Air Border Sector led operational activities between border guards for enhancing the security of the EU external borders. About 130 airports were regularly involved in Frontex air border activities in 2017. Claudio entered the Italian Polizia di Stato in March 1989. He is a lieutenant colonel who, prior to join Frontex, was chief of operation at Venice Border Police. Former handball player, he has a background in police and frontier control, incorporating integrated border management, transnational criminal investigations, counterterrorism, asylum refugee management, and international cooperation. Claudio holds a master's degree in political science, public administration at the University of Trieste, Italy, the postgraduate training at the Superior Police Academy in Roma, and an executive MBA from Canadian University of Quebec, UQAM, and the Polish Warsaw School of Economics. Claudio, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you to ICAO for giving me this possibility. Today I'm going to present to you the new Center of Excellence for Combating Document Fraud that was established in FRONTEX in February 2018. Just a small introduction about the agency. When you read the word agency next to European Union, this means that we deal with practical tasks. So agency is not something dealing with political issues. We have a legal basis that has been renewed in 2016, and we are driven by a management board composed by the head of Border Guards Services of European Union and 2 members of European Commission. What the agency does, it support, develop, coordinate the activities at the external border of Schengen area, the external border of member states of European Union. And this shares, since 2016, the responsibility of the management of integrated border management. Tasks, pretty like every border service: situation monitoring, risk analysis. Something new is the task to create a early warning mechanism and predictive risk analysis. Operations, including return operations. Something new is the Coast Guard function, which is obviously connected with what we do at especially in the Mediterranean Sea, but also in the ocean, in the Atlantic Ocean near to Canary Islands. Cooperation with third countries, then you know the passenger continuum is coming from third countries to Europe and back. Combating cross-border crime, this is also something new. European Union has recognized that border guarding means also filtering those that are committing crimes. Respect for fundamental rights, which are a flag of Europe. Research and innovation and training. Let's go a moment to what we do on document and related identity frauds. So we have our risk analysis unit with the European document fraud activities, our research and innovation unit. In the next days, you will hear something from Tom van de Hoor, that is here with me. New technologies, document inspection system. Training unit, which is developing basic, advanced level, and specialist training on documents, and then the Center of Excellence. This is how it works internally in the agency. We have some activities upstream. I was listing them. Then you can see the center that is acting as an interface with operations. What does it mean? It means that we channel downstream what it is done by other colleagues working in the situational monitoring and risk analysis, research and innovation and training, but we represent also the operational users there. So the intuition to establish the center was of our executive director, and it helped a lot to streamline the work on document-related identity fraud internally, but also externally. This is the structure. We have 3 teams. I tell you now that our positioning is frontline. We are not going to forensics. The need was to cover front lines. First line and a half. Forensics will be probably for Europol in the future when the European Prosecutor Office will be established. So we are still in operation, and this is where the center is located. We have a business support team, which is managing our, let's say, mini management board, ex-doc group management. These are colleagues coming from forensics and from advanced level document expertise. There are 96 of them coming from all member states. Practical cooperation with other external entities. First, the Council and the Commission, of course, also ICAO, Interpol, OSCE, etc. And support to the European Union policy cycle. So what it is done in the frame of Europol and the Council activities to fight against serious crime. And this is something that will come probably soon. We will take over the FADO system with a mandate to enhance it. The proposal of the Commission for, again, an amendment to our regulation. I'm working in a public organization that is so dynamic that it's difficult to consolidate. The regulation was approved in 2016. Now there is a new proposal to change it again with significant numbers, and in this proposal there is also an article dedicated to the transfer of FADO system to FRONTEX. The technical support team is mainly because if you deal with documents, you need to understand documents. Fields project, reference manual, research and innovation application to operations, and terms of reference for tendering, procurement of technical equipment. Fields project was presented last year. It is a partnership between FRONTEX and Interpol to deliver QCC, Quick Check Card, to the frontline officers. The Quick Check Card is a visual supporting tool that is indicating to the officer what to check in a document. Hotspots, not hundreds of security features, but what counts. Of course, we are selecting this upon risk analysis, alerts, and an analysis on the vulnerability of the document itself. The Fields project, the FRONTEX Interpol Electronic Library Document System, serves to deliver this visual support to the frontline databases, making advantage of the DialDoc platform of Interpol and the secure I-24/7 connection. Applying research and innovation result into operations if necessary, so to operationalize what it is done by our research and innovation unit, and of course we have to acquire also equipment in FRONTEX, and when there is a need for supporting also member state in defining the technical specification and equipment, then we are available and we are called to contribute. This is the most important thing, without, diminishing the importance of the other ones, but we are positioning in operation in front line, and these are the guys that are deployed in the field. It's very difficult to manage operations if you don't go to the field and you don't check the working condition, and this is what my staff is doing. They have an average of 50 days per year on the spot, on mission, and they are working with the local officers as the FRONTEX task force on document fraud. We are setting up also a FRONTEX forgery desk. We started operations 1st of February this year. This forgery desk will be ready. It will be not a lab, a forgery desk. It will be ready in the first month of 2019. And one of the mandates that I got from the executives is to set up a 24/7 remote support on document checks for our border guards, which is an interesting challenge that we will manage also with a lot of help from technology, because it's not easy to check in remote documents. Some of these tasks are in blue because I don't want to create pillars between the teams, so all the staff of each team is going to the field to support operations. They are attending conferences or following development of technology. There are certain things we decided they have to be updated in order to ensure organizational knowledge. I leave the time now to questions, and thank you again for listening.
Thank you very much, Claudio, for this presentation of FRONTEX. Before going to the questions of the floor, I have a couple of questions through the iPad. We are setting the thing. So we've heard before during the opening that we are reaching almost 4 billion passengers a year. We have millions of flights. The trend is to the growth, so this traffic is subject to double in something like 10 to 15 years. So we are facing huge challenges. At the same time, there is a huge appetite from airlines, from airports, and from traveling passengers to go fluently and smoothly in these travels. But the situation in states is very diverse. We have some states where the technology is very advanced and well implemented and used, and some other states where passports are not yet electronic, and processes to go across borders that are very, very different from one state to another. Sometimes you have to give your identity or your passport to get out from the country. Sometimes you don't. You can have electronic visas. You can have visa on arrival. So the situation is very, very diverse. From your opinions, you will choose a good answer. What can we do at ICAO level and at state level in order to improve this? API is not very much implemented. It became a standard only this year, so that's not very surprising. But now we saw that UN mandated PNR. So how can we go from the situation today towards a situation where things will be more spread around the world in a homogeneous manner? Nina?
I'm happy to start. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy to start. I think with anything, whether it's passports, passenger data, safety, security, we always have sort of two streams of work going on. We have the trailblazers that are looking at the latest technologies and what does the future look like. And I think it's important that we learn lessons from that, and we can draw on those lessons and look to the future. But then as well, we have assistance, capacity building, training, and all of that piece, which is equally important. And I think the two things could very happily coexist. As things start to develop for the future, then that can feed down. And at the same time, we have to continue to push for implementation of standards as they are today. we have to make sure that we don't go too fast with the innovation. But as I say, I think by having the trials, pilots, tests, and moving forward, we can definitely learn some lessons, and hopefully that can help us make things easier for the future for everybody.
Thank you very much. I have a question for Celine from Belgium. IATA promotes the sharing of passenger or booking information with all air travel stakeholders, airlines, border control, security services. Will this goal not be hampered by European GDPR rule?
I was crossing my fingers not to have such a question. Thank you very much.
I would have asked the question anyway.
And I know where Belgium sits, so. No, thank you very much. I mean, it's a very good point, and whatever we do, but it's not just with the implementation of the GDPR now. I mean, there are currently, and there were before GDPR, a number of rules on data privacy that applied, and that we have to keep in mind. Now, I think it's also important to make the exercise of sitting together and identifying the data that are really needed. And we talk about API, we talk about PNR, and more specifically for PNR, it can be nothing or it can be a whole lot of data. And I think we will have to be very careful in the discussions on the PNR, and I'm really excited to participate to the discussions that will happen around the protection of data, specifically for PNR, because we are in a situation where it's now mandated by the UN Security Council resolution. And at the meantime, we see that in Europe there are a number of very stringent legislations, be it for the PNR, but also for the GDPR at a more global level. So it's a question that is yet to be addressed. But before going there, I think there are also a number of information that we can share, not necessarily on the PNR, but at least on the API that governments already receive, that airlines collect and transmit. And leveraging on this information, how can we all work together so that we use the same source of data? All the stakeholders will use the same source of data instead of asking the passenger to provide this information to the airline, to the government of departure, to the government of arrival during the airport process. We lose efficiency, and it makes us, all of us involved in the passenger process be incoherent, and passengers see that we are not talking together, we are not working together. So there are definitively a number of obstacles, but I'm sure we can overcome them.
Thank you very much, Celine. Now maybe a question to Claudio. With your experience from a very specific region where inside Schengen area there are no borders, there is a freedom of movement, and the necessity to secure the outside borders of this area. What are the biggest challenges you face by working with more than 20 different border guard agencies and governments, and sometimes the regulations that are under the EU regulation but slightly different from time to time? So how does it work?
Thank you for the question. It's not easy. It's 31 different countries. When we will see in 2019 what will happen, can be 30 with the UK. It's obviously not an easy job because but I think you experience also in ICAO. You communicate with your mental scheme something to someone, and the person is receiving with his mental scheme, so it takes a while before to get on well. However, something that it's helpful is that we are at the level of operations, so it's practical. And this works because we are speaking the same language. The biggest challenge is obviously to fulfill what it is our mandate and what it is in the aim of Europe to reinforce the external border once that you release the internal borders. This means that whoever is entering Tallinn airport should be subject to the same type of control that's of another person that is entering at the land border crossing point between Ukraine and Poland. This is not easy. It's more than 10 years that we are working. I see there is a community of border guards now in Europe, even if not formalized like the European Border Guard Corps, the spirit is already there, and this is starting to work pretty well. We'll understand each other very easily. Not that tomorrow everything will be perfect, but the creation of this agency, and I was simply pulled in practically, I found myself in Warsaw, changed a lot the cooperation landscape between border guards in Europe, and also not only between border guards, but also with other organizations.
Thank you very much. I don't have any more questions on the iPad. Are there questions from the floor? Or do I keep on with my own questions? So I will continue. Biometrics. I read an interesting article some weeks ago about your face is your passport. So forget your passport at home, but it can work when you depart from an airport where this system is implemented. But when you land in another country without your passport, what happens?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, you keep that. You want to take it?
We can share the...
Yeah, sure.
You do a duet.
It all depends, and obviously your article was referring on the vision that the industry and some governments may have. But it all depends of how we manage to secure identity and the provision of identity in its digital form. I mean, we are talking a lot about digital identity. It's one of the cornerstones of our project, One ID. And maybe also referring back to your initial question on innovation, there are a number of countries that, as you mentioned, do not have the e-passport. And it's interesting to wonder why they don't have the e-passport. And referring back to digital identity and how it could look like, there might be also an opportunity for those countries who don't necessarily have the funds to develop a fully fledged e-passport with all the security features to maybe jump this step and orient their new identity, a travel document towards digital identity. So we are, on our side at IATA, following the developments, and it's not only about what we want or we see would be the ideal scenario, but it's also a compromise with what is possible, what states, because states are the guarant of the proof of identity. They are the one who issue it. Ultimately, for border control, they are the one who use it. So for us, it's also very much important to work with governments and understand what level of security they can assure and what they are comfortable to work with. So ultimately, if we could have this identity, or if a passenger could go through an airport and relying on the biometric recognition, it pulls the data associated to its identity, and we are comfortable that it's the person associated to the proof of identity. That would be wonderful, but I guess we are not there yet. So there are still some years before this happens, and now.
Yeah, my question was deliberately pushing the line, but like what was done in Schengen area, this kind of experience can be done at first at a small level between dedicated airports, just to check how it works.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think it's very early days, but we're already seeing states working together to have that mutual trust. And if we can get that part, that then underpins the whole system. I think that's going to be really critical. Having that framework where the identity is recognized by more than one party. There's obviously a lot of work to do there, but I think it's possible. But we need to be mindful always that, we don't necessarily aim for the passport to be left at home. Perhaps there's always a role for the passport, but a lot of what's done in terms of checking and rechecking could perhaps use the biometric identity, and we're certainly head in the right direction.
Thank you. Celine said something that I wanted to dig a little bit. Proof of identity. That's something that's the basis of all the rest. You can have the most secure chain of travel document in the world. If at the beginning of the chain the proof of identity is not secure, as it has been demonstrated during the opening this morning, we have a hole in the system. So what can be done to from your point of view by states or even by international organizations in this respect?
I think that we have to look at the trip strategy. It's obvious. And especially we were talking about biometrics. It's a dream of every border guard not to deal with the documents and to have the biometric identification of a person. Of course, with all tremendous problem that we have in Europe to apply something like this, because the constraints of the law are terrible. But it's also obvious that if we go for such kind of digital travel identity, then the abuse will focus on the registration of identity. And then probably we will have to move our attention as law enforcement.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm just told that we are 2 minutes to the closing and to the next part of the morning. We see a great appetite, I already said that, for innovation, new systems to ease the travel. We also know that the situation in states is diverse, so we have some states implementing API, few states implementing PNR, some states implementing PKD. So the trip strategy that puts all these items and concepts together is, I think, a very powerful tool. But we need to work and keep on working on this strategy in order to help states develop their national systems. We also need to leave innovation work on its side, because we don't have to block innovation. We have to support innovation in order to give us new ideas for the future. And I know that, and everybody knows that the regulation will always be far behind innovation and industry, but maybe we can find a way to regulate that helps innovation continue and help states follow innovation at their own pace. But I get that it was interesting hearing the views from airports, airlines, and border agency to understand where are the expectations and where are the possibilities to fill these expectations. So thank you very much for your presentation and answer to the question. Now I leave back the floor to Mr. Denis Chagnon.
Well, let's have a nice round hand of applause for our panel this morning. Well done. Not only that, it was interesting, enlightening, inspiring, and on time. We're back on track. Thank you so much for that as well. Before we break for lunch, we have a few presentations. One is by the sponsor of the ceremony last night, or the reception last night, Veridos, and to give that presentation, I'd like to invite on stage Dr. Silke Barkstedt, Senior Vice President, Head of Product Management at Veridos. Please.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Yes. Okay. Yes, thank you very much for the warm welcome. Dear ladies and gentlemen, also from my side, a very warm welcome to the 14th ICAO Trip Symposium here in Montreal. You may think we already have introduced or are introducing a high secure identity document. I have been able to travel here to Montreal with this document for the symposium. But there is more. Just take a deep breath and imagine how identity will be defined in 2028, so 10 years from now on. In this talk, I like together with you to go on a short journey which looks ahead. Why innovation is key to secure identities. Therefore, the following 15 minutes have been structured in the following 3 parts. First, I would like to introduce you what are our main sources to identify innovation topics. In the second part, I would like to go through through the megatrends in 2018 and their implications on the future of identity management. And last, I would like to dig into e-government, because this significantly will play a larger role into the future and will providing both convenience and security to your citizens. So how do we identify our innovation topics? As a first thought, quite commonly, we are considering megatrends. They are global, they are stable, and describe long-term changes. And they really determine a broader social, technology, and economical framework. Secondly, we are considering microtrends and innovative startups. Both can be a very good source for inspiration, and today's small innovations might set really megatrends and will be a good source for future growth. And also for disruption. If you just consider, for example, WhatsApp, what this happened and what this did with the telecommunication market, I think 5 years ago, nobody have thought that this will have the significant impact. Third source, a broad network of industry and partners are also considered from us. We work together with universities really to understand and get enabled for the latest and greatest trends. So we see a lot of things coming up in the biometric arena, artificial intelligence, deep learning, but also for sure encryption technologies becomes more and more important. And for sure, major international bodies, and I guess this symposium is really a great chance to work on all and to discuss with all the experts internationally on the latest and greatest trends. And our fourth and most important source are you, our customers, because from our side we really think it makes no sense to just develop something. We just want to do this together with you, especially in continuous cooperations and in common innovation projects. We just can set the right directions for the future. So this leads me directly to the megatrends in 2018. Which megatrends we are currently observing? Globalization and growing population. Especially the growing population is quite a challenge. And it's really a challenge to ensure proper identities. I guess we heard this already also in this discussion. If you don't have a proper identity just fixed, you can have the safest document in the world. You will not ensure proper identity management. The world population currently has reached 7.6 billion, and the worldwide growth of population in 2018 until today is already more than 67 million persons. The second trend, which is considering us in 2018, the trend towards urban life is still on. Can you just imagine the increase of megacities? In the 50s, we just had 2 megacities around the world. In the 70s, we were at 3. Around 2000, it were already 18, and now we have 38 megacities around the world. Taking into account also the consideration as well of the increased terrorism, this is a real challenge and is really giving new needs to us for identity management. Mobility, I guess in this round, we don't need to talk much about this. Travelers have almost doubled since 2000 towards 1.3 billion in 2017, and airports and customs have to find smart solutions to ensure security and convenience for travelers. Digitalization, we will come to this as well, that new devices and technologies are demanding new solutions in all areas, also for government. Just the discussion on mobile and digital identities has started. There are various discussions on the identities ongoing. And last but not least, also a quite interesting trend we observe is a convergence of sectors. So there are various business sectors who are claiming the ownership of identity. Just think on Google, Facebook, and a lot of mobile operators. I guess this is also a discussion ongoing inside the government arena, who is holding really the right of an identity. So what implications are following out of this? For sure, automatic processes. Convenience and security for citizens by means of government services. For example, e-government portals and efficient processes will become more and more important. For example, also the automatic border processes. We have an enhanced digital security and a growing security awareness. There are multiple issues in the digital world as we really observe already high-profile data breaches, and also we are quite dependent from IT systems. So also a hack towards a small system can really bring down your entire process. And therefore, yeah, here a clear need for protection against this cybercrime is required. User convenience, also quite important. The needs or the measures you bring to your citizens really need to be also convenient. If a process is too complex, it will not be used, although it might be quite secure. And last but not least, the control over identities. So we have seen that identities is really essential for each citizen in the world. And that this is quite important. Also, the OECD already has impacted, if we look on the trends on innovations in governments for 2018, the identity is one out of the 3 major trends of the OECD. And I just want to give one citation out of this, that every citizen, resident, and business needs to have an identity to access government services and participate in society and the economy. This leads me directly to the impact for the interaction of governments with its citizens. There was a survey done from the Boston Consulting Group in 2013-14, where they figured out that just 1/10 of the citizens do some transaction with the government online. They projected that this online transaction in 2020 will almost be 1/3 of all transactions. And this also leads into future needs, future e-government processes, but also mobile government. What is the importance of e-government solutions and the advantages? On the one side, for sure, it's the faster processing of data in your public administration, and for sure, easier processes. So you really can reduce with this the administrative burdens. You can have easier processes, you have electronic processes, and go for significant cost savings. And more data shared, so it's a better transparency also for your citizens, and in alignment with your society goals available, that you really can share this data in a proper way. But most important, that you really can ensure an improved convenience and security for your citizens. So the world is getting mobile. I think everybody has a mobile phone in his or her pocket, and so it's expecting, and citizens are demanding to do more and more processes inside or with the mobile phones. And we really have this increased adoption of mobile phones around the world, no matter if we are in developed or in developing countries. And we now have more than 6 billion people with telephone subscription already in 2012. And 4 out of 5 people of the world population is already covered by mobile telephone networks. So this leads me to the final conclusion out of this presentation. Just want to give you one example where we have an excellent, nice example to combine combination of government services together on the mobile phone in the mobile world. It's a mobile biometric authentication for government services, and especially here we provide document renewal process. What this offers you is that we have a personal link with a digital identity, which is quite good. We have remote access of a variety of services which can be offered by this solution, and it's smartphone based and really nice and easy to use. If you just join our booth, we can demonstrate this to you. So, identity matters. Let's shape the future together. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bachstedt. Yes, and we're all invited to visit the Veridos booth and all of the booths during all of the lunch breaks and coffee breaks. Just before we do go for lunch, we do have a presentation by Emperor Technology, who are the sponsor of the lunch we're going to have in a few minutes. And I'd like to invite on stage Dr. Roger Tai, is the Executive Vice President of the organization. Dr. Tai.
So good afternoon, or good morning. It's in between the morning and afternoon. So I'm very glad, and this is my honor to be here to announce that I am the lunch sponsor of today. Okay, so I can see we have a long morning, and then I want to check who is kind of hungry now. Including me. Thank you. All right. So I would like to keep my presentation kind of short, and I would like to change the way of presentation. I want to be more active. All right. So that means my slides is ongoing. I think that it will fashion quite a faster pace, but I would like to have a two-way communication in terms of the commercial introduction of Emperor Technology. Okay. So while we're waiting for the slides, so I would like to introduce the way of working, okay? So I'm going to ask questions, and then my colleague has a very good gift, okay? So that means I'm expecting some hands up, and then if you can answer the question correctly, and then you will be the winner of the gift, okay? Is it fair enough? All right, good. I can see some smile, excitement. Okay, so MPRO technology is initiated, established 23 years ago in China. Okay, and actually the chairman is taking photo right now. He is walking. All right, this is good. So is the slides okay? All right, so technically we are working on it. Okay, so other than the representative from China, I would like to check who knows the population of China right now. 1.3, 5, any 7 digit behind the dot? Okay, maybe the honorable guest here maybe know, they didn't know that question, answer. Yeah. They don't have the presentation, so can you just go behind? Okay, so they are trying to find the presentation right now. Okay, so that means instead of giving the 7 digit after the dot, we have 1.3 roughly billion people in China, and then you know how many passports we are producing every day in China. Again, other than the representative from China, you guys can answer. Any number? 1,000 booklet passport per day? 1 million per day? Whoa. I would be very happy. 1 billion. Okay? So we are around 150,000 passports produced per day. Okay? And this, I believe, is the world #1 production of passport every day. Okay? And then since 2005, you know, there's one company, and this is a key question now. It's a question for the gift. Okay? So in China, okay, it's one company providing exclusively the personal machine for China, producing and servicing the country for 150,000 booklet every day. So the question is, okay, you have to raise your hand when you want to get the gift. Which company has the honor and exclusivity to provide more than 600 personal machine for China? This lady, please, you get the right answer. MPROTEC. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. So thank you for the technical resolution. Yes, the lady. Congratulations. And then this is a very powerful gift. This is a very powerful Bluetooth speaker. So whenever you switch it on, be careful, it's very powerful. Okay, all right. So in China, as I said, we are the exclusive provider of personal machines for China, producing 150,000 booklets per day. Okay, and thanks for the government, we are also honored to get the award of personal machine for identification cards. Okay, and since 2005, we've been helping the country to produce more than 1 billion EID for the China. Okay, and then other than China, you might say, okay, you guys are Chinese, you are strong in China. Okay, but other than China, we also spreading our services around the world. Okay, so other than China, let's go to Kazakhstan. Okay, so Kazakhstan, since 2014, we provide the EID card personal machines for the country, and other than EID, for sure, what we are for. Here today, we are for e-passport. So we also produce e-passport personal services for the Kazakhstan government. Okay? And other than Kazakhstan, we are quite strong in CIS region. So other than Kazakhstan, we also implement our personal solution for e-passport in Kyrgyzstan. Okay? So that means say, okay, CIS, you guys are strong because it's next to China. Okay? So this is also one country next to SIA, which is very advanced and modernized. So let me introduce Hong Kong. Hong Kong last year, we also won the e-passport project for e-passport, and we are in the process of deploying the personal machine. Okay, so that means you can see our machine is quite long, 10 meter long for Hong Kong, and then we are in the process of delivering. And other than Hong Kong, in 2018, we also won the award from Belarus. Okay, and Belarus, we introduced the enrollment devices and also the EID personal machine and also the e-passport personal machine. And this is our history for e-passport. Okay, and then now, okay, let's go into the next section. You know what is this? It's a passport. It's the red color. Okay, again, other than the representative from China, this is the e-passport from China. Okay, so inside there's a PC page, okay, or a paper. And on the paper, the question is it the photo color or black and white? Whoa. Any other question? Any other answer for this question? Can you see from far? Is it black and white or color? It's color, okay? And this is on the paper, okay? We've been using this passport for over 10 years, okay? And then since we are very familiar with color printing, and also the company also introduced some color picture, very nicely printed on a PC page, okay? So, and this, because of the history and foundation of color printing on paper, we also very strong in color printing on the PC. Okay? So we've been implemented a lot of documents in color, okay, including our ID card in China, and also in the voting world of industry, we also provide a lot of color photo printing on motor cards. Okay? So we've been producing more than 2 billion documents in color. All right? And then this color printing is also award-winning technology in cards from Paris. Okay? So now, the next question, award-winning question now. Which company is producing more than 2 billion color documents? This gentleman, please. What's the answer, please? Ample technology, loud and clear. Thank you very much. So another gift for this gentleman. All right, fair enough. Okay, let's go into the third section. Yeah, you like it, huh? Okay, now, when you want to enroll and apply your passport, okay, where you want to go? This gentleman. Okay, yes. And then you have to go to the application center. Okay, wait for my award-winning questions later on. Okay, and you guys had also a chance to answer. Okay, so when you go to the bureau applying your passport, you have to face a person, right? And a lot of companies hate this kind of thing, right? Because usually the employee want to apply 1-day holiday for the application. Okay, and then when the guy go into the bureau, they have to face a counter, and in front of the counter there's a government officer asking you questions, you enroll in everything. Okay, but now the world has changed, so we want machines to service people. We want robots. Okay, any time of the day, even after work, 24/7. Okay, you can go to a robot and apply your e-passport. How about it? Okay, so now here is the question winning. Which company? This lady on the right. Which company is providing the very advanced, innovative kiosk, automatic, 24/7 a day to service your people? What is the answer? Ample technology, loud and clear. Thank you very much. Okay, so we covered the personalization, we covered the kiosk for dispensing, and then also the application. Okay, so for the verification now, what is this? Huh? It's the portable reader. Okay, in old days we called it a PDA, and now we call it an iPad, right? Or a smart pad, something like that. It's a tablet. Okay, so now this tablet is widely used for identification verification. Okay, because on that we have an MRZ reader, we have the contactless and contact card reading for ID, and also we have a good fingerprinter, we have cameras in the front and also in the back. It's very powerful, and all the data are encrypted and sent by the PSAM. Okay, so this, you might see it because you can name it. And what is the lightest and the most handy devices that you can check MRZ and also personal identification? Here you go. Very small and lightest device. You can plug into your phone, any phone you want, except Apple, because I didn't talk to Apple yet. Okay, so if you want it, you can go to our booth, our number 18A. You can be able to touch it and to be able to weight it. Okay, this is the smallest, lightest, and most advanced handheld device for MRZ reading identification. Okay, we can have a card reader. Okay, so again, award-winning question. Which company? You want to have 2 gifts? It's fast. This lady again, because she was standing up, very eager. Okay, so which company is producing the lightest and most advanced handheld device? Pro Technology again, thank you very much, thank you. So may I set the rules and after 2 gifts you cannot hands up again. Okay, here comes the last question, because I think that everybody wants lunch. I just want to remind everybody we are the lunch sponsor. Okay, so the last question comes, nowadays in China, okay, again, it's not for the question of a representative from China, maybe it's also a gift for you guys, okay? So in China, what happens now is we have over millions of passengers, travelers, domestically in China, okay, moving cities to cities, okay? So what happens if one person or some person forget their identification documents in the airport? Oh, right? Usually every one of us is in a hurry. Okay, what if I find my I didn't bring my passport, I didn't bring my ID, so I cannot go through the border. Okay, I have to go home or call somebody to help. But in China, what happened right now is that don't worry, all you need is a phone. All you need another is your face. Okay, so we have the facial recognition application for your digital ID, which is the digital travel documents on the phone. Okay, and it's happening right now. Okay, so all you need to do is go into the Security Bureau, Security app, enroll yourself, and then again you go to the booth. Okay, we have a facial recognition terminal. Okay, and through the terminals the officer can be able to read the barcode generated, okay, from the Security app, and then facial recognition, and be able to verify yourself, and then the system will give you the access through the border. Okay, is it convenient? So, the last award-winning question. Which company is providing the latest? I see the gentleman standing up just now. Okay, so which company is providing these solutions in China? Okay, please. Yes, standing up, yes, which company? Pardon? Pro Technology, thank you very much, thank you. So, for not being to be very commercial, someone raise a hand and let me stop. Okay, so that means thank you very much for the presentation. I hope you like it and I hope you enjoy the gifts. So there are more gifts in our booth. Okay, that's the message. Okay, so if you're interested, you guys are cordially invited to our booth 18A, and then bon appetit, enjoy your lunch. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Tai. Yes, we will enjoy lunch. Thank you for lunch, and we'll see everyone back at 2 o'clock.